Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to tackle all of these right here, which are my single eyeshadows. I'm going to go through and declutter my single eyeshadows. It is going to be a big task. I am a bit nervous, but it needs to be done because I now have a lot of single eyeshadows. I mean, you can see I have 4 Sydney Grace large palettes, a couple smaller palettes. I have 3 C palettes and 3 Cleona Palettes, and all of these are majority full. I mean, this one for example is not completely full. I know one of the Sydney Grace palettes is I don't know, 2/3 full basically, but in general I have a lot of single eyeshadows now. So I want to go through them and declutter because I feel like some of these colors are going to be a bit outdated, and I'm probably going to have better things now with my indie eyeshadows, but I'm going to go through this today and it's going to be quite a task. So I'm not sure how long this video is going to be, but I'm going to try to condense it down as much as possible. But I do want to make a big declutter this today because I am overwhelmed with the amount of singles I have, and I in general have a lot of eyeshadows in my collection now and I want to downsize that number. So that is basically the plan today. I'm going to start by removing all of the shades, and I don't think they will all fit here. I will leave my Cleona eyeshadows in their palette though, because they are a bit more difficult to get out because they are square or rectangular, I guess, and also because I don't want to damage them. So I will, and I'm gonna keep all of them anyway, because I have the whole collection, so I'm gonna use them as reference, but I'm not gonna take them out of the pan. But the remaining things I am gonna take out, so we'll see how it goes, if I can fit everything on my surface right here, but that's how I'm gonna start. Here is all my single eyeshadows apart from my Cleona eyeshadows, which are in a separate palette, and again I have a lot. How I'm going to tackle this is I'm probably going to sort this by colors, but now they are very, very random, so I'm going to probably start with a certain color that I might not have as many of, or that is more of a distinct color in here, and you know, just tackle it that way because this is very overwhelming and I do have a lot, and again I do want to downsize. Granted, some of these are very recent. Some of these are the Sydney Grace Christmas in July like free gifts. For example, like I know all of these, for example, are very similar, and all of those are from that sale. So I know I'm gonna declutter some of them, but yeah, I'm gonna start by going through these. I'm gonna try to push all of these up, so I have some room at least to start going through colors. And I think, judging from what I have in front of me, I was gonna start with green, but I think I have more greens than blues, so I'm gonna start with blues, just to have somewhere to, you know, start the whole declutter with, and then we're going to move on to greens later, and I'm going to start by kind of comparing colors. So I'm going to start with blues, and I think I'm going to start with matte blues. Okay, so I believe these are all my blues. So again, not too many in this category. This is probably my smallest category. I'm trying to look if I missed anything, but I don't think I have. Again, it's really difficult because I have so many colors here that it's quite overwhelming. So I'm going to start by splitting these into shimmers versus mattes. So we're going to put shimmers on this side and mattes on that side. So we have that. So this is kind of how I'm going to go about it. So I'm going to start by sorting them into shimmers and matte, because obviously they're different formulas. And then I'm going to go kind of by color gradients, which are most similar, into the ones that are most different. So I started off by swatching out the matte blues here, and technically all of these are different. However, I am going to go ahead and declutter one of these, which is this blue right here, because I feel like it's very similar to this, and I prefer this formula. This is Sydney Grace, and this is a powder shade from NYX in your Element Air palette. This is just the blue shade from there. So I'm going to go ahead and declutter that, but I think everything else will stay, because again, I don't have too many blues. So here we have the shimmery blues swatched out, and some of these are multi-chrome, so they're going to come off a bit different. Like, let's see, this one here, as well as these three are multi-chrome, so they're going to shift, but those are the shades. And out of these, this one here is different, but I feel like it's not performing very well, so this is a maybe for now. I'm going to compare it to some other things to see. Then these two are also very similar, although, I mean, obviously they are, this one is shifty, this one is not, but they are similar, and I don't go to these type of colors very often. So I'm going to declutter this one, which is from Colourpop. It's one of the powder shades. Then, you know, the remaining on the top row there is, I think, different enough, and then the bottom row as well is very different. This one, however, is again not as impactful as I wished it would have been. I think it might be going a bit bad, so I'm going to swatch that out as well to see if I can find something similar in my Cleona eyeshadows, and if so, I'm gonna declutter that one as well. So let me go and compare those two. I'm gonna compare these to my Cleona eyeshadows. Up top here are the jewel multi-chromes. I don't think there's anything too similar to these. Maybe this one here to the blue there. I mean, it is deeper, but it is quite a similar shade actually, but it's a multi-chrome and it's slightly deeper. That is one, you know, it's definitely similar enough. I think CL here is quite similar to this one as well. Definitely similar. I think with that I'm actually happy to declutter this, because although they're not exact, with the golden shift in this, they come off very similar, and I don't reach for these shades very often, so this one is gonna go. And this one is Pegasus from Makeup Geek. Is there anything else in here that I want to compare to that other blue? I don't think so in this palette. Let me go and see the other ones. Let me check. Nothing is really as cobalt blue as that one in here. I mean, this one maybe, but this one has like a purple shift, so I don't think they're gonna be similar. No, they're not similar. Okay, and then the last palette has this color that I think might be quite similar, which is this one here. It's not, again, exact, but honestly, I think with those shimmers there, since I don't reach for blues very often, I am going to declutter this one, because I just don't love it anymore. It's very satiny, so I'm going to declutter this one. And this is a declutter shade from the Juvia's Place Masquerade Mini Palette. So we're doing well. We have 4 decluttered eyeshadows so far, and yeah, very excited about that. Let's move on to the next color. So next up we're going to do mints and greens. I think it's going to be easiest to do all of them together. It's going to probably be quite a big category. But yeah, I don't really know how else to split them up, if I should just do cool tone greens and then warm tone greens, but I think that might be too complicated. So I'm going to do all the mints and greens next. So I think this is all of the greens. This one here might, you know, maybe this should have been with the blue, but this is the difficult part, because some of these look more blue, some of them look more green, depending on what you have next to them. But I guess it is more kind of minty, so it does fit, for example, next to this one. So again, I'm going to split this into mattes and shimmers, and we're going to go through them that way. Okay, so there we have them split. And again, I'm just going to sort these by color. Okay, so I have swatched out everything as they are laying right here. So here we have the swatches. So just looking at these, I mean, these two are very similar. This one is way lighter than this one though. But do I need both? Probably not. I don't reach for mint shade very often. This is the shade Get Fresh from Colourpop Mint to Be. Oh, I'm torn with that one. You know, I'm gonna keep that actually for now. I don't have too many mint shades in my collection. I don't really have any palettes with mints anymore, because of the Powdered That Mint to Be palette. So I think the top row here is relatively unique. These two are also very similar, but they are different depths, but they are similar colors. This middle row here is where we have problems. So I do like these, all these three. They're all different. However, these two here are very, very similar. And I believe both of these are from Sydney Grace. We have Turtle Bay and Siren Call. Both of these are very, very similar. I don't think I need both, which is a bit silly because I have picked up both. What did Siren Call? I think that might have been a freebie actually. Out of the two, I do think I like Turtle Bay better because it's slightly more muted. But I haven't played around with both of them enough. But I mean, you can see how similar they are there. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to keep this one, declutter this one, because I feel like these two are more similar as well. So I'm going to keep Turtle Bay and declutter Siren Bay, which is a bit annoying. But I love my Sydney Grace shades, but I don't need unnecessary eyeshadows. Then with these two, I do think they're different enough that I can keep both of them. With the bottom row, I think, again, I'm going to keep all of them because they're all different to me. Again, I'm not doing too great, but I love greens. So I think I'm just going to get rid of that one shadow. Again, the only one that I am looking at is this one here. Do I need it? No, I'm going to be ruthless. I need to declutter that one because it is relatively similar to that one. So I'm going to declutter that one as well. So 2 declutters from this pile, not too great, but I do have, again, a couple. And also I forgot to mention, I know these two are very similar, but these two, like these are my favorite type of greens, like the really acidy greens. I love them. And I do want to keep both of those. Okay, so here we have all the green swatches, all the shimmers. So we're going to start with the top row here. That is this top row there. Because those are the more minty shades. Out of these, this one is definitely very different. It's more of a multi-chrome again. However, I feel like this one is quite similar to like the other ones here. They're not exact. This one is slightly more blue, but the texture of that one is not nearly as nice as the other one, so that one is going to be decluttered. And that is another Colourpop shade, and this is again from the Mint to Be palette in the shade Mint Tea. So this one is going to go. I do love this one as well. I do love the rest apart from the last one because these two again are very similar, but this one is so satiny that I do not like it anymore. This is another one from the Juvia's Place Masquerade mini palette, another deep powder shade. Moving on to the second row here, there's nothing really that is too similar to anything else. Yeah, I think they are different. However, this shade here is very similar to this one on the bottom row, and that is this shade here, which is my Wet n Wild shade. This is from the Comfort Zone palette. I love this eyeshadow, but it just isn't performing very well anymore. I know I love this so much. I think I might put this into my pan pile because I think this would be relatively easy to pan because it's so shallow. But yeah, these are very, very similar, and I didn't realize how similar they were, but they are very, very similar. And this was one that I was considering decluttering, but since they are, you know, close, and I know I love this one, I am going to keep this one. Then these two are very similar tones to that one, but they are different enough that I'm going to keep them. Moving on to the remaining ones on the bottom row. The only one that I know I'm going to declutter is this one here because it is too deep, and I do have multi-chromes that are, if I want like a deep shimmer, I'm going to go for one of my multi-chromes. So this one is going to be decluttered, and this is one of the freebies from Sydney Grace in the shade Starfish. So looking at the remaining ones, is there anything that I want to put into like a maybe pile to compare? The only thing I can think of is this one here because it isn't the most shimmery shade, like it's not the most shimmery eyeshadow, and I think if I have a multi-chrome like this I will declutter this one. So this is in the maybe pile. Anything else? Maybe this shade here as well. It's beautiful, but again it doesn't have a shift. It's this one here. I mean, it does have kind of a little bit of a shift, but not really a multi-chrome, so this one is in the maybe pile as well. I know I like this one. It is a stunning shade even though it doesn't really have a shift. But yeah, I think those are going to be the ones that are in the maybe pile. The remaining ones I do like the shade of, even though they're not shifty. So these two I'm going to compare, and then the remaining ones are going to stay. So I changed the angle a bit just so we can see the eyeshadows down here better. But these are the two I'm going to compare now. So I have swatched them both out. We have that green here and that green there. And we're going to see if I can find any close dupes. So in here, I mean, I know this is going to be deeper, but it's not really the same type of green either. What about this one? No, not really anything similar right there. What about this one? No, that's still too green. Nothing really there. I don't think there's anything green like that one on here. Is anything similar to this one? I don't think this is going to be similar because that's more blue. No, definitely not. What about this one? I mean, it's a similar color, definitely different vibe though, so not really. I don't think there's anything here again that's similar to that one, so this palette is done. Maybe here there's something similar to that green, because these are a bit more muted. No, not quite similar. And that one is going to be too bright, I think. Yeah, that's too bright. Nothing like that. And what about this green? No, nothing like that here. Again, that is... I swatched that one there and that's not similar. Then we have the last palette. This one might be similar. No, it's too shimmery and too light, I think. Anything else? No. I don't think anything similar to this one, so I'm gonna keep that one. What about this here? Anything similar? Not that one. No, too bright. Yes, that's somewhat a similar vibe. I think this one is the closest, but it's definitely brighter green and lots of lighting, so I'm gonna keep both of these because I feel like everything I have is still different. So next up we have the yellows. I don't have too many yellows in my collection. These are it right here. So again, I'm going to split these into shimmers and mattes and we're going to swatch them out. So first of all, these two are duplicates. These are Palooza Mini and Palooza Large Size. Do I need both? Probably not. I don't, do I? I don't wear glitter very often, mainly for like festival stuff. This is gonna be messed to swatch, but that is it right there. It is a stunning shade, but I don't think this is gonna be one that I wear enough that it's gonna be worth keeping. Oh, that's hard. Maybe pile. I need to put it in a maybe pile. I don't know what to do yet. But yeah, I'm not gonna swatch out the glitter, so I'm gonna put that to the side. I'm gonna swatch these out. Okay, here we have the yellow swatched out. You can see again we have a couple more shifty shades, especially this one here. So out of these ones, I don't think I'm going to declutter any of them. I think I was considering decluttering one of these two, but I think they're different enough. This one is brighter, this one is a bit more muted, and then this one is like a neon yellow. For the shimmers, all of these are different. This is like a really, really light, looks almost white shimmery shade. But it is a bit yellow. This one is a yellow with a pink shift. This one is like a true metallic yellow. This is more of a, I guess, burnt yellow. I don't know, antique yellow. And this is more of a muted kind of yellow with some sparkles in it. So I'm going to keep all of these. I don't have too many yellows as you can see. So all of these are staying. And including the glitter as well. Okay, so moving on, we're going to do oranges, and this is kind of where we get into a bit more kind of neutral shades as well, because obviously there's a lot of orange toned leaning neutral shades, and that's kind of what this is. But I'm still going to do these because I feel like all of these kind of overlap and are similar, so again we're going to split them into mattes and shimmers. And I found one more pressed glitter that's going to go into this pile right there. So here we have all the mattes swatched out, and we're going to go through them in order. These two right here I thought was going to be very similar to these two there, but they are different. This one is more peachy, this one is more orange. So I'm going to keep them both. These two though are very, very similar. And I do prefer this formula, so I'm going to declutter this one, I think. This one here is Dynamite from Colourpop, from the Soul palette. Yeah, I just feel like they are too similar. I have a lot of those tones, as you can see, and I just don't need all of them, so this one is going to go. So that's this one. These two again are quite similar, but this one is a bit more orange tone, this is a bit more peachy. Do I need them both? Probably not. Let's see, we have Roll from MAC, we have Tangerine from Sydney Grace, and this one is also quite similar. And this one is Red Star from Sydney Grace. I probably don't need all three of those, but I do like them. And they all perform very well. So I'm going to keep them all, at least for now. Moving on to the next row, we have these three here, which are similar, but not the same. These kind of lean more yellowy, so they kind of maybe should have been in the other pile. We have Mango Tea from Sydney Grace. We have Haystack from Sydney Grace. and Chickadee from Makeup Geek. It's those three there. I'm gonna keep all three because again I don't have too many tones like that, as you can see, and I just love these. This one's very different. Then it comes to these three here, which are super similar. I think again, because of formula, I am going to declutter one of them, and that's this one here, which is the Colourpop one. That's the shade Duchess. It's a beautiful color, but I just don't need three of this type of color, and I prefer the formula of these two. And they are slightly different. This is a bit more orange leaning, this is a bit more coral. So yeah, this one is going to go. We have these three here, which are very similar. Again, I probably don't need three. I'm going to keep this one because I know I like the formula again. This is Sydney Grace Harvest. This one is beautiful, it's a nice formula, but do I need all three? No, I mean they look different in the pan and they probably blend out to be slightly different. Yeah, they do blend out to be different, but this one is more kind of brown leaning, and I think I have other browns that I would prefer to reach for. So I'm going to declutter this one. Also the formula isn't the best, which is the Zulu shade from the Masquerade Mini Palette from Juvia's Place. This one is going to go, but I'm going to keep these two, although they are look very, very similar. I think they would blend out to different type of tones. And because of that, I'm going to keep them. You know what? I feel like I need to be more ruthless. But these are the type of tones that I reach for a lot when I reach for eyeshadows. Yeah, I'm going to declutter this one. I don't need it. I don't need it. This was the shade BS from Give It To Me Straight. Don't need it. I have loads of colors like that in palettes as well. And yeah, I'm gonna declutter this one. Moving on to the shimmers, I think I'm gonna keep all of these. We have two press glitters here which are different, and I'm gonna keep both of those. Then we have these three which are all very different, and again I don't have too many orange leaning shimmers. The only thing would be if they are too similar to some of my Cleona eyeshadows. Do I want to compare? No. Again, I don't have too many shades of these. I'm going to keep them. Okay, so moving on, we have kind of coral shades. Leaning into more kind of reddish shades, I guess. And a few more kind of neutral leaning corals. But I think this is going to be the best step moving forward. So there we have the split this time around. Let me sort these out again and swatch them out. So here we have this mattes swatched out. Again, all kind of different in some sense, you know, but I do think I'm going to declutter some of them. These two I think are different enough. We have a light kind of more pink leaning translucent shade, and here's more, I mean, I don't know, baby pink, and then more kind of true pink, I guess. Then we have some peaches. This is quite similar to this one actually, but this is a neon shade and this is more of an, you know, everyday shade, so I'm going to keep all of the ones from the top row. However, on the bottom row I am going to declutter I think one of them, and the one I'm actually going to declutter is this one here, because I just feel like this is a bit muted. I have the shade probably in other palettes and things, so I think that's the one I'm going to declutter. This one here is, yeah, it's so hard though because, you know, they are slightly different. But I'm going to declutter this one. I do have a pan on. I'm decluttering a lot of shades with pan, which is annoying, but you know, I mean, that's not why I'm keeping them. I'm not going to keep them just because I have pan. So this one is going to go. And again, this is the powder shade from the Yes Please palette in Spoiled. So that is this shade here. Do I think that everything else is different enough with that gone? You know, on camera I feel like this one looks similar to this one, but they're definitely different undertones, so I'm going to keep them. So I think I'm going to keep the rest. So here we have all of the shimmers swatched out. Yeah, so I'm going to start. These are quite similar all up here, so I'm going to actually start from the bottom because these are quite different, as you can see. So all three of these are different type of multi-chromes. I don't know if you can pick up the shift at all, but I'm going to keep all three because they're stunning, all three of them. Moving on to the middle row here. I think this one is actually like a matte. It looks like a satin in the pan, but I'm not going to keep it anyway because it's very lackluster. And this one is very similar, which is also kind of like a satin, but I am still going to start by decluttering this one, which is Mango Tango from Makeup Geek. This one is going to go. I think this one here I am going to declutter as well. It's the same kind of color, but yeah, it's just very lackluster. It's the shade Golden Strawberry from Sydney Grace. Yeah, it's more of a satiny shade, which is not my kind of vibe, so I'm going to declutter this one as well. I am, however, going to keep this one here, which is a multi-chrome. This one I'm unsure about. I'm going to wait with this one. This is also like a sparkly kind of special shade from Glam Shop. I'm going to keep that one. And this one is nice and unique as well, so I'm going to keep all three of those. With the remaining here, I'm gonna start with the top row and decide what I'm gonna keep for sure, and then I'm gonna, I think, re-swatch. So I'm gonna keep both of these. I really quite like them, and they are different from the rest. Yeah, I quite like both of those. So these are gonna stay. However, just quickly, this is quite similar to both of these two, and the one I like the least of these are probably this one, which is the shade Today and Forever. I think that was from the mystery bag this year that I picked up, the light peach version. Yeah, I think I'm gonna declutter this one because I have so many similar shades now, and yeah, I just prefer some of the other ones. Well, actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do a swatch of these two and see which one I prefer. Then we also have these two, like a similar vibes. This one is from Colourpop, this one is Sydney Grace, and this one is also quite similar. So I'm gonna swatch off these as well. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to swatch off all of these, and then these two are going to stay. So here we have those swatches. Up here we have the top two ones, and then obviously the three below. So out of these two, I was right in that I prefer the left one to the right one. So this one is going to stay, this one is going to be decluttered. So I'm keeping Lucky Peach, and I'm decluttering Today and Forever. Out of these three here, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to keep this one because I like the formula of it and it's quite a nice shade. So I'm going to keep this one. However, with the Colourpop shades, I'm going to compare if I have anything similar for my Cleona eyeshadows, which I think I do. And if so, I'm going to declutter both of these. So first up, we have this palette here. We're going to move these up quickly. So this is the newest expansion shades. I think there might be some similar tones in here. This one might be quite similar to that one. Okay, that's quite similar actually. I mean, on camera it doesn't quite look the same, but to me they look really similar, these two. But let's keep looking. Don't think there's anything really in this. Actually, this one maybe. No, that's too orange. I think there's not really anything in here that's too similar, but I think there is some from the original stained glass collection, their own, like not expansion, their original line. So I'm going to look at those as well. So here we have the remaining shades. This is one that I think might be really close. Again, a bit more orangey, but not that different. I mean, that's like that on steroids, isn't it? It has the same type of base, but it has more blue sparkles. I think these are actually quite similar. Although they're not quite exact, I think they're similar enough. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to declutter both of these because I just have so much more kind of special eyeshadows in my collection. I'm not going to waste my time using shades that are just like a bit, I mean, nice, but still a bit less lackluster. So I'm going to declutter both of those. So next up, we're going to do my pinks and kind of like plummy tones. Again, I'm going to do mattes and shimmers. So here we have the mattes swatched out. I'm going to keep this one, this one, this one because they are very kind of different. This here, it's quite different as well, to be honest, than the other ones. However, these two are quite similar, and the one I prefer is this one. This one here, which is Sobo from the Juvia's Place Magic Mini, Masquerade Mini Palette. It's just very similar to this one, but this one performs better, so I'm going to declutter this one. And then I'm also going to keep this one. For the second row here, I'm going to keep, I think, all three of these because they're different enough. These are kind of more neutral shades. I don't know how they end up in here, but they just did. And then these two here. I love these two. I know I love both of these shades. They swatch terribly now, but I think my hand is starting to get to that point when I've removed so much makeup and like makeup wipes that it just doesn't swatch very well anymore. So I know I don't need both of them, but they are different. This one is definitely cool toned, this one is definitely warm toned. For now, I'm going to keep them both. I know it's unnecessary, but I'm going to keep them both. So here we have the shimmers. This one here I'm definitely going to keep. It's a beautiful shade. I love this one. This one here is just very lackluster. Don't like it. It's more of a satin. I am going to declutter this one. Like this one. Same with this one. More satin. I don't like this anymore. I'm going to be more cutthroat. I'm going to declutter this one as well. This here is an interesting shade because it's more of a satin, but I think it will perform more of like a matte. So I haven't played around with this yet, and I'm thinking if it's similar to anything else that's matte. I'm going to swatch it next to the couple shades that I think it might be close to of mattes, and then I'm going to make a decision on this one. Then on here we have three shades that are somewhat similar kind of vibes, and honestly, you know, I don't really like these two differently. This one maybe, I do have this one as well from the purple section, which I will do soon. I'm just going to include that here because again, this one is quite similar to those two, or those the remaining ones. Okay, this is actually, it is quite different. I'm going to declutter these two. I'm not going to reach for them. I just don't reach for deep shades like this very often, so I'm going to declutter both of them. And these are both from Sydney Grace. We have Cranberry Boy and Restored Fully. I'm actually going to put this back in the purple part because it is actually quite purple. And then we said this one and this one is also being decluttered. It's those two right here, and I'm just going to compare this one quickly. So I swatched out the two pink mattes that I think would be similar to that, and nothing's really similar to it, so I'm going to keep it more of a matte rather than a shimmer and use it that way. So next up, as you can see, we have the purple section. This is quite a large section, so we're going to start again by separating mattes and shimmers, and the majority here will definitely be shimmers. So again, quite a big difference, like I said, between shimmers and mattes, but we're going to start with the mattes again and go for the shimmers. This one I've decided to go with the greys because it's definitely more grey than the others, and I think it will be better in that category. So here we have the purple mattes, not too many again. Is there similarities? Definitely. We have more, okay, 3 more warm toned and then 3 more cool toned purples. This one is definitely going to stay, so is this one. Love those two. The swatch is the best as well. I can feel like these doesn't really swatch as well anymore either, because, you know, just my hand is getting a bit dried out. I am going to keep this one too. It's quite different, so the question is now about these 3. Honestly, the one I'm most hesitant about is this one here. I love the shade, but it's quite similar to this shade here. However, again, I don't have too many purple mattes, so you know what, I'm actually going to keep all of them. I only have 6 of the purple mattes, and I'm happy with that. I'm especially considering how many purple shimmers I have. So I have swatched out the shimmers here right now, and these are all some I'm going to swatch in a minute because they are kind of more duochromes kind of shades, and these are more kind of regular shimmers. I guess I have some multi-chromes there as well, but these are kind of similar type of duochromes, so I want to swatch them all together. But here we have the swatches, and there is definitely some things here that I want to get rid of. I'm going to start again with things that I definitely want to keep. I quite like all 3 of these shimmers. They are slightly different. I mean, these 2 are definitely going to stay. I love them both. These 3 are all, they're kind of similar, but I like all 3 of them, so they're going to stay as well. This shade here is with the one I'm kind of hesitant on. This one here, which is the shade Cinnamon Toast. I mean, I don't really have anything similar to it, I guess. It is a new shade from Sydney Grace that I just received. You know what? I'm gonna keep it. I like it. I like all 3. I like all the top shades. They're nice. They're kind of lighter shimmers as well, which is what I usually go for. Moving on to the second row here. You know, I feel like these 2 are both very, very similar. This one is a bit more cool toned. This is slightly more warm toned. But I don't think I want to keep both of them. And the one that I'm leaning more towards keeping is this one here, because it is slightly more warm toned. But then again, that is very similar to this one, which, you know, is that one there. And those 2 are very similar. Again, this one is not as much pigmentation, and this one I would say is probably more close to some of my multi-chromes from Cleona. This one doesn't have the shift, but it does have like a blue sparkle running through it. So I think what I'm going to do is declutter this one and this one, and just keep this one as like that kind of purple. Then for the remaining shades on this row, I am going to keep this one. It's a beautiful kind of multi-chrome, as well as this one. And then we have this one left here, which is another one that I do quite like. It's like the lighter version of this here, which again I like, so I'm going to keep that one too. Then we have the bottom row right here, and here is kind of where I know I'm going to get rid of some shades. These 2 shades here they're beautiful, they have beautiful pigmentation. However, I feel like if I go for a deep shimmer like this, like I mentioned before, I would go for one of my Cleona eyeshadows, like my Cleona multi-chromes, the jewel ones, because these have the same depth as them, but they would also have the shift. So I'm going to declutter both of these. And then we have these 3 left right here. I do like this light shimmer here. It's different as well as than the other, so I'm going to keep this one. With these 2, I don't think I need to keep both, and the one that's definitely calling to me more is the lighter one here, so this one I will also declutter. So that's pretty good. 5 shades decluttered right there, and these again will stay. We also have the pressed glitters here, which I won't swatch out because I don't really want to get rid of any of them, because I don't have too many pressed glitters, and the ones I have are all different. So here we have the next swatches, which are the kind of duochromes that I was talking about, and there's definitely an overlapping here. The first thing I realized is these 2 here are basically a dupe of each other. I feel like they're basically exactly the same. And that is The Greatest Gift from Sydney Grace and Cinnamon Sugar from Terra Moons. However, I love that shade, and I don't feel like I'm ready to let go of either of them because they're both relatively new to my collection. And you can call me a clown because I literally bought two basically identical shades yeah, within the last couple of months, I guess. I mean, Terra Moons I've had now. When did I pick up my Terra Moons order? Was it Black Friday last year? I can't remember now. But basically within the last year. I think one of these shades are one that I'm going to pan in the future, but I'm not ready to let go of either of them because I do think they're stunning shades. So I'm going to keep both of them. Similarly here, we have two shades here that are very, very similar. We have Alchemy from Nabla as well as Winter Garden from Sydney Grace. Again, Winter Garden is very, very new to me. Looking at them here, I think I would prefer this one. However, I think this is very, very similar to some of my Cleona eyeshadows, and this here is trying to be that kind of sparkly thing, which I know I have in my Cleona eyeshadows better than here. But this one is more kind of the subtle version, like an everyday, no shimmers, just like a sheen. So I think I would actually prefer that to give more variety to my collection. So I am going to declutter this shade here if I can find a dupe in it in my Cleona eyeshadows, so I will compare that in a second. Then we have this shade here, which is the Milky Way, I believe, from the Untitled collab. This one is a bit more sparkly. It's again from Sydney Grace, and it's like a pink base going into this kind of greenish shimmer. I love it. It's really stunning. I'm going to keep that one. Then we have some more shades down here. This one here, I am going to go ahead and declutter. It's like the typical like kind of brown to greenish kind of shift, like a blue brown but like more of a green shift. However, it's very, very satiny, and it's always been very satiny, and it was kind of like a disappointment when I bought it, so I am going to declutter this one because I just don't reach for it, and I have much more special shades now. Then these two I'm obviously going to keep. They're both stunning, super, super metallic, and both kind of multi-chromes. This is Unexpected from JD Glow, beautiful shade. And then here we have, I think it's Virus from, is it Virus? Laser, sorry, from Glam Shop. So yeah, that is them. And again, I am gonna declutter this one if I can find a dupe for it, on a similar shade in my Cleona eyeshadows. Then we have these two right here, and I like both of these. Again, I want to compare this here if I can find a similar shade with it in my Cleonas, because if so, I think I should be able to, and then I will declare this one too. This is Earthshine from It's My Pleasure. This one I do like still. This is Mrs. Sandman again from Colourpop. I like this one. It's really, really nice. It's a nice kind of neutral shimmer, and I am gonna keep this one. So let's start with this palette here, which is like the main original stained glass collection. This one I think might be quite similar to, I think this is it Grisaille or Aberration? I think it might be Grisaille. I think those two will be, yeah, basically spot on. These are like the same thing, just that this one is way more pigmented and way prettier, and the shift is stronger as well. Yeah, I'm gonna declutter this one. I don't need both. And yeah, I way prefer this shade anyway. And again, I'm pretty sure that's the Grisaille from Cleona. When it comes to this shade here, what could be similar? I feel like one of these pinks would be similar. That's kind of similar in tone. Doesn't really have the blue shift the same though. But it does have a similar shift, I guess. Just not as much as of the blue. What else could be similar? That's more green. Oh, this one probably. That one definitely would be similar. Yeah, that's basically again the same shade, just more pigmented, and again a stronger shift. So yeah, I'm going to declutter this one too because I have something similar in my Cleona eyeshadows. Next up we have Morbid Tones, and as you can see here again, mainly mattes. We have two shimmers, and then yeah, so let's start with the mattes and move into the shimmers last. So here we have the mattes. I had to move some because some of them were too grey tone to be in this category. This is on the border, but I still feel like it has some Morbid tones to it. So top row here, all of them are similar because they are very light transition shades. However, all of them have different undertones. And I'm gonna keep them all because these are Sydney Grace, all of them. And Sydney Grace does these shades perfectly. And, you know, they all have different undertones. They all would work with different looks, so I'm gonna keep them all. Moving on to this row here. I feel like all of these are pretty, aren't they? However, this shade here is very, very similar to, you know, this shade, and I know I don't like the Colourpop formula as much, so I think I'm going to declutter this one, which is this shade here. This is the shade Downright from the Give It To Me Straight palette. It is an absolutely beautiful shade, but I'm more likely to reach for one of the other ones instead of this one. Then we have this one. This is a shade that I know I love, and it's very similar to this shade here, but I love it. Is that another one that's going into my to pan pile? Will I pan this? It's a Colourpop matte, so, you know, it will take a while. This is the shade Time to Celebrate. They are very, very similar, aren't they? But I love this shade. Okay, this is gonna go into my maybe. I currently only have 2 things in my maybe pile, so that can go in there. Then these two are different, these two are different, you know, these are somewhat similar, but this one is way deeper, so I'm gonna keep, I think, all of these, because I love this type of tone. So we're gonna go ahead and go do Grace next. We have these here. I'm gonna split them up in mattes and shimmers and then go ahead and swatch them all out. So here we have all of the mattes swatched out in the order they're laid out right here. And oh man, I have so many Grace. I didn't even realize. All of these have kind of different undertones. Like looking at them now, like, oh, you're thinking like, oh, these could have been with the greens, these could have been with the blues, but looking at them next to those, these do look very grey, so they are very grey tone leaning. When it comes to like the top ones here, I feel like they are all different, and they're kind of like the lightest tone you can use to blend out, so I'm gonna keep all of the top ones because, yeah, I feel like they all are useful and have different undertones. Moving on to here, this is when it gets a bit more complicated. It's so hard because there's a lot of shades here that I feel like are similar, but they use different depths. So like these two are very similar, these two are very similar, and like even these two, this is a bit more, I guess this is kind of close to this, but all kind of similar, but nothing really exact, and everything, like I said, have different depths. What about these two? What are these? This is Mind Blown and Thunderbird. Again, I just feel like they're different. Look at the undertone if I try to blend them out. Oh, this is so hard. I think this one here might be an unnecessary one to keep. It's beautiful, but I just have enough of those kind of tones, and I don't reach for them very often, so this one can go. But yeah, I think that's actually going to be it for this category. I know, very kind of boring, but I do like the rest of the shades. And again, I don't really have these shades very often in palettes, so it's nice to have them in my singles, and that's kind of why I acquired so many of them. But I'm going to keep the remaining mattes. And with this black, I'm going to keep it because it's the only black I have in my singles collection right now. So here we have all of the shimmers swatched out, and apart from the Pegasus, obviously. So there's definitely some things here that I want to declutter. I'm definitely going to keep this one. I think this one is one I'm ready to let go of. It was a Declutter shade. I think this is actually from a Tone 4 quad, but it just doesn't perform. It's very old, the quad itself, and I potted the shades that was kind of the special shades, but it's not that special anymore, so I'm going to declutter this one. This one is also beautiful, kind of like a one and done shade, but I don't reach for those very often, and again, I'm just ready to let go of this Wet n Wild shade. Then we have these three here. They are kind of similar, but they're all slightly different, and these are kind of lighter shimmers, so I prefer those to like the deeper ones to here. So I'm going to keep all three of those for now. Then we have these shades right here, and honestly, I'm kind of ready to let go of all of these. I was thinking about keeping this one because it looks nice, but it's kind of similar to Dive, and it's not as special. What is this shade called? It's called Emerald Eyes. Not quite sure. Let's see what these ones. This one is the one I'm considering keeping. This is Traveling Elegance. I think I'm going to keep this one. This one here, I'm not sure what this is called. The name is rubbed off. And this one here, these two, I'm definitely going to declutter. They're too deep for me. I don't want to keep those. The one here in the middle though is a bit lighter. This one is called Stormcloud. Maybe I'll keep that one because I don't have too many deep shimmers like that. And maybe this one too, because this one is a bit more kind of green leaning. I like that. It's just a bit smoky, but yeah, I'm gonna keep it. This is Delicate Design. This one here, Emerald Eyes, am I gonna keep that? No, I need to be ruthless. This one I'm definitely gonna keep though, because that's a very nice and special shade. Here on this bottom row, again, we have some really nice shades. These two here are both staying. This here is MAC Club mixed with Wet n Wild Comfort Zone, like the blue brown pigment in there. And I love this for years, but I definitely have better shades than this now, that because this is a very common like duochrome, so I'm ready to let this one go as well, because it's very old and I have better things. Then we have these here. This one obviously is definitely staying as well. It's this one here. This one I'm ready to let go as well. These Wet n Wild shades is very, very old, so I'm ready to let go of this one as well. Then we have these two here. They're very kind of satiny shades, but there's something about them that I just like. So I think I'm going to keep them for now. I've done pretty well with this category. So I think these are the shades that I'm going to keep in this category. Next up we have the kind of warm toned neutral shades. I'm going to go ahead and again split them up and then swatch them out. So I have separated the mattes and the shimmers are over here for later. So here we have the swatches of the matte shades. Up here, again, there's similar shades, but I feel like they are different enough to keep all of them, because again, it has slightly different undertones and depths, and I think they will work quite nicely as transition shades, so I want to keep those. Moving on here, there's definitely some things that I do want to declutter. First of all, these two shades here are very, very similar. This one is, I mean, they are similar, but this one just doesn't swatch as well, so it looks lighter, but basically they are exactly the same thing, but this one does not swatch nearly as well as this one, so I'm going to declutter this one, which is a Declutter shade from Isadora. This one can go. Then the question is if this one is one that I want to keep, because I feel like this is very similar to this one, and I prefer this shade here. And yeah, this is the formula isn't great either. This is another Declutter shade from the Masquerade mini palette, so I'm thinking I'm going to declutter this one too. I don't need it. And I think other than that, the only two similar shades are these two right here, which are these shades here, which have Soft Brown and Note to Self from Colourpop. They are very similar, but I think they are slightly different. And again, these are shades that I reach for all the time, so I'm going to keep both. So here we have the shimmer shades. We have some pressed glitters here as well, which I'm obviously not going to swatch out again. But these are the shimmer shades, and I'm gonna declutter this shade here because it's very similar to this one, but this one is just sparklier and prettier, and this one is definitely nothing special, and that's this shade here. So this is the shade Ginger from H&M. This one can go. I do quite like this Colourpop shade actually. It's very, very metallic, very beautiful. It's like a nice rose gold, so I'm gonna keep that one. Then with these two right here, they are very similar, but this one is more metallic, this one is very sparkly. Do I need this one though? This was another one from the Tom Ford quad. It is very nice and sparkly though. I think I'm gonna keep it for now. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it. And then down here we have all different kind of shades. I am gonna, however, declutter this shade though, although it is unique from everything else here. I don't reach for these deep dark kind of bronzy shades very often, so I'm gonna declutter this one as well, but the rest can stay. I'm gonna do these shimmer shades next because these are kind of like the really sparkly metallic shades that I didn't really know where to put anywhere else, so I'm going to put them in here. So I'm just going to swatch these out and compare. So there we have those shades, very, very metallic shades. However, the one shade that kind of stands out as not being as metallic as the first one. This is just like basically a sheer glitter. Again, this is from the Tom Ford quad. But I'm going to let this go. It's not performing very well anymore, and the other ones are just so spectacular. These two shades are quite similar, but they're not exact. This one is a bit more silvery, so I'm going to keep all of these. So on the other side of the spectrum we have just mattes right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and swatch out these mattes. These are kind of the deeper, I guess, plummy kind of tones. Yeah, I don't know, deep browns that didn't really go in other categories, so I'm gonna swatch these out next. Okay, so here we have the swatches. Again, there's some overlapping. I would say that these two are somewhat similar, but this one obviously doesn't swatch very nicely. This is handwritten by MAC. It's so old and doesn't perform very well. It just like comes off. You can see it doesn't really build anymore, so I'm going to declutter this one. But that means I'm also going to keep this one. This shade here always surprises me. It looks like a deep brown, but it comes off more red in the pan. And I don't know if I want to keep that or not because of that, because I feel like I would never reach for the shade and expect that, but it is a beautiful shade. So I think for now I'm going to keep it and play around with it, but you know, we'll see how it goes. Another one I think I'm ready to declutter is this shade here, because although that's a little bit more kind of deepness to it than, like, for example, like, I don't know, a bit more warmth to it than, like, for example, this one. Again, it does kind of the same thing as this shade did here, and it doesn't really swatch the best and doesn't really build that well. And this one is French Kiss from the Just Please palette. So again, I'm going to declutter this one. But I think for now I'm going to keep these. Then for the top row, these two are somewhat similar, but they're not exact. Do I need both though? We have the Next Chapter and Chocolate Raspberry Fudge. I probably don't need both, do I? It's so hard because these Sydney Grace shades, I don't know how well they perform, but I think I'm going to declutter this one because I don't need both of them. So the next one I'm going to declutter is the Next Chapter, and I'm going to keep Chocolate Raspberry Fudge. So next up we have these kind of lighter tone, either like setting shades or it's really light transition shades or inner corner shades. So again, I'm going to do mattes and shimmers and see how it goes. Okay, so here we have the mattes, and I think all of them kind of would be good to keep. This one is very light, kind of almost in the corner shades, so like very light beigey tone. There's like a pastel yellow. This is like a regular setting shade. So it's this one. This one is a bit more warm tone. This is a bit more cool toned. This here is a bit too pink tone for what I like though, so I will declutter this one. And this is a good first transition shade, so I'm going to declutter this one and keep the rest. Do I need all of these? No. Will I be able to pan these? Yes. So I think I'm, for example, going to pan this one, which is this here. I'm probably going to pan that at some point and get rid of one more, but for now I'm going to keep those. So here we have the shimmers, apart from pressed glitters. This one is more of a duochrome. I'm going to keep that one. These two are very similar, and logically I should probably just keep one. However, I don't have any kind of inner corner shade in that size pan, so I do want to keep this around for that sake, but I'm going to keep this one too because I prefer it. This one here is so lackluster, I'm going to declutter it. And then we have these two, like a golden shade and a silver shade, and I'm going to keep both of those. So one declutter here, which is going to be this one. Then we have the last category here, which are more kind of iridescent shades and lighter shades, like, you know, basically iridescent shades. I threw the silver in here, which probably should have gone in the other category, but I have it here now. So I'm going to swatch these out. I don't foresee myself getting rid of any of these, but I'm going to swatch them out anyway. So here we have those shades. You can see they're all iridescent shades apart from the matte white and the silver. And I'm actually getting rid of the silver. It's nothing special. I don't really like it, so I'm going to get rid of this one but keep the rest. So we are done. I have my palettes right here. I have now 4 Sydney Grace palettes, and basically everything fits in here apart from my different size pans and these. So these are gonna go, they can't really fit in here. These are gonna go into one of my C palettes once I remove the shades that I decluttered, because I put all the shades that I decluttered in there for now. But yeah, these are the shades that need to go in one of those, but otherwise basically everything fits in my Sydney Grace palettes apart from, like, again, the different sized pans. So just quickly before we go into what I am keeping and what I'm decluttering, here is my maybe pile. I think what I'm going to do is I am going to keep all 3 of them for now, because I think I did a pretty good job decluttering. So I'm going to keep all 3 of these. I think I'm going to put at least these 2 in my 2 pan pile maybe next year. And this one, we'll see. I mean, it's a duplicate, so I should probably pan it at some point. But, you know, I'm going to keep them around for now. So that is going to be 3 shades that are also staying. So here you now have my whole singles collection apart from my Cleona eyeshadows, but I haven't really touched those at all apart from comparison today. So first up we have these shadows here, which are more, again, the iridescent shades and the matte white. So that is the first palette. Then we have here this palette here, which actually perfectly fits my JD Glow shadows. So that is where they live now, which is perfect. So that is the next palette. These are all the Colourpop shadows that I'm keeping. Before I had this whole palette full, plus almost the full one of this, so I'm very happy to now have all of them in one palette. And this one looks so nice with the shades that are still in here. This one here doesn't make it as aesthetically pleasing, but it still works, and I'm happy with this palette. Then we have my big Sydney Grace palettes right here. We're going to start with the top one, which is, I don't know if I'm going to keep them like this, but I'm quite happy actually with the way they're laid out at the moment. I might make some few changes, but we have the blues leaning into the greens and then the yellows. So this is the first palette. Then we have the second palette, which is the kind of yellowy oranges to orange to peaches and then pinks. Again, I have a little bit of space here, which is really good. I did not want to put the iridescent shades down here though, because I don't think they go with the aesthetic. So that is the next palette. The third palette we have is this one here, which is my kind of neutral palette now. We started with like more kind of Morbid tone neutrals, going into some more kind of yellow tone neutrals, and then yeah, you know, warm tone neutrals and so on. And this is kind of the next palette. I do want to move these light shades up here though, but I'm going to do that some other time because I've been filming for hours. But yeah, I'm going to move all of these up to the top and then just move everything down, but that is the next palette. And then the final Sydney Grace palette we have is this palette here, which is the purples, leaning to more kind of the grey toned mattes here, or grey toned, sorry, neutrals here. So that is the next palette, and those are the 4 Sydney Grace palettes with majority of my round singles. So yeah, that is basically everything that I'm keeping. Again, I do have my Cleona eyeshadows as well. I'm just going to pull out and show you them quickly as well. So here we have my Cleona palettes. Again, this is kind of my first main palette that I had from them, so that's the first one. Then the second one, I believe this is the new, no, this is the second palette I had from them that has some kind of more shades from the original line plus all the iridescent shades. And then we lastly have the palette with the whole expansion, so this is all the new shades. So those are basically all of my single eyeshadows now. So let's move into the shades that I actually decluttered. We have 2 palettes basically almost full of eyeshadows that I am decluttering. So here are all of the shades that I'm decluttering. I'm very pleased with this. So yeah, we have all of these. I counted them up and it's actually 27 shades in each palette, which means I have decluttered 54 shades in total, which is amazing. I'm so happy with this, and I'm happy that I decluttered, you know, quite a few. I was just hoping to get my numbers back down below 1,000, because before this declutter I actually ended up having 1,019 eyeshadows, and I wanted to get below there, and I definitely have. So I'm really pleased with that. And again, these are all the shades that I'm decluttering. Some of these will be thrown away, some of them will be going to my friends, and yeah, that's basically all of those eyeshadows. So I'm not quite sure how many eyeshadows I decluttered in total, like percentage wise, how many palettes eyeshadows I still have. So I might put them up on the screen, all the stats kind of my eyeshadows. So obviously kind of where it went from, so excluding my Cleona eyeshadows, but then also kind of total how many eyeshadows I have left now, single eyeshadows in my collection. So that, you guys, was it for today. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I think it's going to be really long, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed it anyway, and if you did, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And otherwise, I will catch you in my next one. Bye, guys.